Question 20.24. Questioner: Then at present it would seem that our current lifespan is much too short for those who are new to third density lessons. Is this correct? Answer: I am Ra. This is correct. Those entities which have, in some way, taught themselves the appropriate distortions for rapid growth can now work within the confines of the short lifespan. However, the greater preponderance of your entities find themselves in what may be considered a perpetual childhood. Question 20.25. Questioner: Back in the first 25,000-year period, or major cycle, what type of aid was given by the Confederation to the entities who were in this 25,000-year period so that they would have the opportunity to grow? Answer: I am Ra. The Confederation members which dwell in inner plane existence within the planetary complex of vibratory densities worked with these entities. There was also the aid of one of the Confederation which worked with those of Mars in making the transition. For the most part, the participation was limited, as it was appropriate to allow the full travel of the workings of the confusion mechanism to operate in order for the planetary entities to develop that which they wished in, shall we say, freedom within their own thinking. It is often the case that a third density planetary cycle will take place in such a way that there need be no outside, shall we say, or other self-aid in the form of information. Rather, the entities themselves are able to work themselves towards the appropriate polarizations and goals of third density learned teachings. Question 20.26. Questioner: I make the assumption that if maximum efficiency had been achieved in this 25,000-year period, the entities would have polarized either towards service to self or towards service to others, one or the other. This would have made them harvestable at the end of that 25,000-year period, in which case they would have had to move to another planet because this one would have been third density for 50,000 more years. Is this correct? Answer: I am Ra. Let us untangle your assumption, which is complex and correct in part. The original desire is that entities seek and become one. If entities can do this in a moment, they may go forward in a moment, and, thus, were this to occur in a major cycle, indeed, the third density planet would be vacated at the end of that cycle. It is, however, more towards the median or mean, shall we say, of third density developments throughout the one infinite universe that there be a small harvest after the first cycle, the remainder having significantly polarized, the second cycle having a much larger harvest, the remainder being even more significantly polarized, the third cycle culminating the process and the harvest being completed. Question 20.27. Questioner: Was the Confederation watching to see and expecting to see a harvest at the end of the 25,000-year period in which a percentage would be harvestable fourth density positive and a percentage harvestable fourth density negative? Answer: I am Ra. That is correct. You may see our role in the first major cycle as that of the gardener who, knowing the season, is content to wait for the spring. When the springtime does not occur, the seeds do not sprout, then it is that the gardener must work in the garden. Question 20.28. Questioner: Am I to understand, then, that there was neither a harvest of positive or negative entities at the end of that 25,000 years? Answer: I am Ra. This is correct. Those whom you call the Orion Group made one attempt to offer information to those of third density during that cycle. However, the information did not fall upon the ears of any who were concerned to follow this path to polarity. Question 20.29. Questioner: What technique did the Orion Group use to give this information? Answer: I am Ra. The technique used was of two kinds: 1. The thought transfer, or what you may call telepathy. 2. The arrangement of certain stones in order to suggest strong influences of power, this being those of statues and of rock formations in your Pacific areas, as you now call them, and to an extent in your Central American regions, as you now understand them. Question 20.30. Questioner: Were you speaking in part of the stoneheads of Easter Island? Answer: I am Ra. This is correct. Question 20.31. Questioner: How would such stoneheads influence the people to take the path of service to self? Answer: I am Ra. Picture, if you will, The entities living in such a way that their mind, body, spirit complexes are at what seems to be the mercy of forces which they cannot control. Given a charged entity such as a statue or a rock formation charged with nothing but power, it is possible for the free will of those viewing this particular structure or formation to ascribe to this power over those things which cannot be controlled. This, then, has the potential for the further distortion to power over others. Question 20.32. Questioner: how were these stone heads constructed? Answer: I am Ra. These were constructed by thought after a scanning of the deep mind, the trunk of mind tree, looking at the images most likely to cause the experience of awe in the viewer. Question 20.33. Questioner: did the Orion entities do this themselves? Did they do this in the physical? Did they land, or did they do it from mental planes? Answer: I am Ra. Nearly all of these structures and formations were constructed at a distance by thought. A very few were created in later times in imitation of original constructs by entities upon your Earth plane density. Question 20.34. Questioner: what density Orion entity did the construction of these heads? Answer: I am Ra. The fourth density, the density of love or understanding, was the density of the particular entity which offered this possibility to those of your first major cycle. Question 20.35. Questioner: you use the same nomenclature for the fourth density negative as for the fourth density positive. Both are called the dimension of love or of understanding. Is this correct? Answer: I am Ra. This is correct. Love and understanding, whether it be of self or of self toward other self, is one. Question 20.36. Questioner: what was the approximate date in years past of the construction of these heads? Answer: I am Ra. This approximately was 60,000 of your years in the past time-space of your continent. Question 20.37. Questioner: what structures were built in South America? Answer: I am Ra. In this location were fashioned some characteristic statues, some formations of what you call rock and some formations involving rock and earth. Question 20.38. Questioner: were the lines at Nazca included in this? Answer: I am Ra. This is correct. Question 20.39. Questioner: since these can only be seen from an altitude, of what benefit were they? Answer: I am Ra. The formations were of benefit because charged with energy of power. Question 20.40. Questioner: I'm a little confused. These lines at Nazca are hardly understandable for an entity walking on the surface. He cannot see anything but disruption of the surface. However, if you go up to a high altitude you can see the patterns. How was it of benefit to the entities walking on the surface? Answer: I am Ra. At the remove of the amount of time-space which is now your present, it is difficult to perceive that at the time-space 60,000 years ago the Earth was formed in such a way as to be visibly arranged in powerful structural designs from the vantage point of distant hills. Question 20.41. Questioner: in other words, at that time there were hills overlooking these lines? Answer: I am Ra. This will be the last full question of this session. The entire smoothness, as you see this area now, was built up in many places in hills. The time-space continuum has proceeded with wind and weather, as you would say, to erode to a great extent both the somewhat formidable structures of Earth designed at that time and the nature of the surrounding countryside. Question 20.42. Questioner: I think I understand then that these lines are just the faint traces of what used to be there. Answer: I am Ra. This is correct. Question 20.43. Questioner: thank you. We need to know whether or not it is possible to continue with another session today and whether there is anything that we can do to make the instrument more comfortable. Answer: I am Ra. It is possible. We ask that you observe carefully the alignment of the instrument. Otherwise, you are conscientious. Is there any short query before we close? Question 20.44. Questioner: I intend in the next session to focus upon the development of the positively oriented entities in the first 25,000 years. I know you can't make suggestions. Can you give me any comment on this at all? Answer: I am Ra. The choices are yours according to your discernment. I am Ra. I leave you in the love and the light of the one infinite Creator. Adonai.